Good morning, crypto warriors, and welcome back to the Gem and the Crypto, episode 1049. Today is Tuesday, January 10th, 2023, and I'm King.
And I'm Bitcoin Zay, here to bridge the gap between cryptocurrency and the community, Monday through Friday at 10ish.
At 10ish in today's top stories, Cameron Winklevoss says there is no path forward as long as Barry Silbert remains CEO DCG. Mark Cuban to face questioning under oath over promotion of Voyager. Binance employees to adhere to 90-day period prior to trading. Coinbase to cut another 20% of his workforce in the second wave of layoffs. And Bitcoin community not happy with Peter Zeihan's criticisms on Joe Rogan's podcast. That and much more. But first and foremost, what's going on with those prices?
Oh, yeah. So let's take a look at our prices today. Right now, Bitcoin is at $17,291 with a jump overnight, up 0.03%. Ethereum at $1,331, up 0.3% today. Binance Coin at 275 is down 1.7%. XRP sitting at around 35 cents is down 1.1% today. Cardano at 31 cents is down 1.5% on the day. Dogecoin at 7 cents, down 2% for the day. And Polygon at number 10 is down 2% for the day as well. Some of the trending coins include Bitcoin, Binance Coin, and Polygon. We're starting to see a lot more big cap coins stay trending. And some of the recently added coins for the DGens want to dumpster dive: Sora Synthetics, Medal of Honor, and Alien Squid. Oh, yeah, I'm sure there's a bunch of projects that are going nowhere. But if you want to dumpster dive and take your chance in the casino, have fun.
There it is. There it is. All right, some quick shout outs today. What's going on? Patrick Walters, Satoshi Slim, Fanteezy, JB, Daryl White, Wisdom Bars, Goodness. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Goodness said, King, you got to get on the Joe Rogan podcast, don't I, though? Yes, we all got to get up on here. Throw some shout outs for crypto because honestly, Joe Rogan and the cronies he has around never gets crypto right. I have yet to hear them really get Bitcoin and crypto right. But I'll at least give them props. Usually after they get it wrong, they admit that they know they're getting it wrong more than likely, and they start to laugh. So America 2023. We know we're not right, but we're going to talk about it anyway in the wrong way to confuse as many people as possible and then laugh about it later. And hopefully you catch the last 30 seconds of us telling you we don't know what we're talking about. But with that being said, we are about to go over this top story of the day. That's right. What's his name? I'm trying to think of the different names, man. If it ain't Donnie Brasco himself, no, but
6
seriously,
9 Gunner.
hey, I'm gonna call the federal government on DCG. I think we figured out who made that phone
Sammy
call.
the
If you
Bull.
remember
Sammy
yesterday, Sammy the Bull Gravano, yesterday we were basically saying that, hey, there's no way DCG's in the government's crosshairs if no one made a phone call. Now, my guess is either Cointelegraph or the Winklevoss twins or a combination of both. But whoever made the call doesn't matter. Cameron's doubling down. He's coming back out. And now, it's getting even worse. At first, he was just saying, we try to talk to you all in private. It has been. Is that my email going off or yours? I hear it in the
Must be
background. Is it
yours.
mine? Is it
I
mine?
don't, yeah, it's got
It
to be
is
yours.
mine, but I don't know why because I have my D&D on. Great. Oh, Apple, you're making amazing products lately. But anyway, Cameron Winklevoss, there's no path forward as long as Barry Silbert remains CEO of DCG. As I was saying a few days ago, of course, he came out and said, we've been trying to have private conversations, get this $900 million back. Hasn't been working, so they went public with it. He went public with that letter to DCG saying, you guys owe us his money as well as other people. It's time to pay up. Of course, a couple of days later, then DCG, as we mentioned yesterday, is now in the crosshairs of the federal government as they're under investigation, it looks like. And then today, Cameron Winklevoss comes out and say, you know what? Let's stop beating around the bush. If y'all don't fire this motherfucker that's in charge right now, then everything's going to go afoul. That's right. Recursive trades between the Grayscale Trust and the Three Arrows Capital Hedge Fund allegedly inflated assets and fees, according to an open letter from the Gemini president. And again, Three Arrows Capital, investment firm, institutional money, trying to play the same old derivatives game that you see in the traditional market here in the crypto market. And as we said many times before, they're going to try it. And while it may look like it's going to work in the short term, derivatives in this market not only will not work, they're going to account for the biggest crashes you probably will ever see in this market. But going down to this open letter, and Cameron Winklevoss, again, co-founder of cryptocurrency exchange Gemini, also known as one of the alleged founders, I guess, of Facebook. Of course, he lost that infamous case, him and his brother, Mark Zuckerberg, years ago. But he's penned another open letter to the board of the Digital Currency Group, or DCG, saying CEO Barry Silbert is unfit to run the company. One thing I will mention, and this is the whole thing about Ethereum and Ethereum Foundation, and it's still being semi-centralized. You have this name, the Digital Currency Group, right? It's supposed to be a group of people, yet no one is responding to one of the largest exchanges and one of the biggest players in the industry about their own CEO. Doesn't sound like much of a group to me. How are you an actual group of people? And he's saying, hey, your group owes us $900 million and your CEO has been ducking and dodging us. And as a group, no one responds back and says anything. All right. I just want to point that out. But in the January 10th later today, Winklevoss claims Silbert and Genesis Global Capital, a subsidiary of DCG, had defrauded more than 340,000 users who were part of Gemini's Earn program. The letter followed a January 2nd appeal on Twitter to Silbert directly, in which the Gemini co-founder said Genesis owed Gemini $900 million, accusing the CEO of hiding behind lawyers, investment bankers in the process. According to Winklevoss, Genesis lent more than $2.3 billion to 3 Capital, a move that left the crypto firm with a loss of $1.2 billion once the hedge fund failed in June of 2022. He claimed Silbert, DCG, and Genesis orchestrated a carefully crafted campaign of lies started in July of 2022 in the effort to show DCG had injected the funds into Genesis. A couple of things. First, what is with like the 2.3 billion? You're done. Stop working. Do another business. Like, what is wrong with these people, bro?
They just love, like I said, these are the real DGens. You think you're a DGen spending a couple $1,000s a night in Vegas? Hell no. The real DGens are the ones that spending a couple $1 billion betting on risky assets that have no foundation. Literally a foundation of sand. As you can see, they don't last more than 3 or 4 years ever, and they all got wiped out. And they had $2.1 billion to play with. You know, it would have been an even better investment strategy. Do nothing. What if you did nothing?
Right.
What if you got $1 billion in injected capital and you say, you know what, we're just gonna sit here and let the bear market finish? How about that? Because apparently everything else they're doing is garbage.
Yeah, and it's, again, this is crazy to me. These are the numbers people retire on, right? These are the numbers you do. You sell your companies for. You're done. You do your escape, but instead they're like, nah, let's start with 2.3. Like, I really don't get it. And to me, it's kind of everything that's been happening to these companies are deserved. That sucks as much as it sucks to say, but it's just like you don't need to inject $2.3 billion into this market. Like, period, point blank. You don't need to inject that much into this market right now. Where are you injecting it to? Like, I want a spreadsheet of where this money is going down to the Satoshi. But again, even crazier is that, yeah, it looks like DCG was wrapped up into this whole 3 O's Capital. And of course, 3 O's Capital went down on FTX and all this other stuff throughout the year. And as this quote is saying here, there's no path forward as long as Barry Silbert remains CEO of DCG, says Winklevoss. He has proven himself unfit to run DCG and unwilling and unable to find a resolution with creditors that is both fair and reasonable. As a result, Gemini, acting on behalf of 340,000 earned users, requests that the board remove Barry Silbert as CEO. One thing I just want to point out for sure here is how's the old saying go? I can't remember. You mess with the buck, you get I don't know. You mess with the bull, you get the. But my point is, listen, you mess with the gentleman in crypto. This is what happens. Y'all thought y'all was gonna fire my boy? I made the phone call. All right, I called the feds.
Barry Silbert, you thought you was gonna fire me? You know what's gonna happen?
Hey,
no, chickens coming home to roost. In the words
the
of my
chickens
boy,
are coming home to roost. You thought you was gonna fire my mans? Y'all don't know how we roll. We don't take losses, people.
You know the funniest thing? The day that I got fired, I talked to my spiritual advisor, and she was like, "This was supposed to happen because they won't be around long." And I was like,
"There it is."
What do you like? I'm in my whole purview of how this could have happened. CoinDesk, being a subsidiary of DCG, who's getting called out by Gemini right now, probably going to take a huge loss. Has a huge amount of money in Grayscale. I feel like, again, I've already made the prediction. Tried to show the video, but I already made the prediction that they were going to fail this year. So this isn't looking good. But it is funny that my boy Cameron got the Italian beef and Pepsi. went in the room and was
Hey.
like, "Let me tell you something. Let me tell you a little something about Barry Silbert." And on top of that, you realize Gemini took away their name off of the earn. They don't put Gemini earn anymore. They just put earn.
Oh, I did
So
notice that. I didn't realize why though.
it's very subtle things, but if you read between the lines, they're trying to distance themselves from this product because on the back end, they just gave a $2 billion to Genesis and was like, all right, or to whoever and say, oh, it should work. You know what I mean? Like they basically just trust each other to give each other billions in loans.
Group
When in
think,
reality,
group think.
none of them have proven anything until we have an exchange that's been around for 15, 20 years that has worked pretty much flawlessly and doesn't, shut down on its customers. You haven't proven anything. So I don't know why they're so quick to throw this money around, except for the fact of greed. And they think that they can, they're smarter than everybody in the room, and they're not. Who's smarter? A person who went from $1,000 to $20,000, or the person who went from 2 billion to zero? Like that's why.
Right.
That's why when we talk to
When you
our,
put
our
it like
lawyers,
that.
we do coaching. When I go on my book tour, whenever we go and speak at places, I always remind them: stop doubting yourself. You just started with less capital. Trust me, you are much smarter than these people because you don't take as much risk. Also, you understand all roads lead to Bitcoin, and a lot of this shit coinery is why it happens. The same reason why you can get smacked in farmers, smacked in yield. They're doing the same thing. They're just doing it on a higher level.
And
It's
they
hilarious
taking
to
and
watch.
they taking the L's. Thank you, Enzo. Enzo said if you mess with the bull, you get the horns. There we go. Classic Breakfast Club movie. That's what I was talking about. Yeah, man. Listen, all I'm gonna say is it was me. All right, Zay. I saw some news. They said he ain't working with him. They fired him. Something. I was like, what? Yeah, I think his name is Barry. Yeah, I don't know. They let somebody loan $3 billion. I wouldn't do it. Check him out, boss. Check him out, boss. Hey, shit was all good just a week ago. Like literally, they were just on the soapbox telling the crypto community what we need to be doing and we shouldn't be doing and X, Y, and Z. And a couple weeks later, a federal investigation and one of the biggest players saying, "Hey, they broke y'all. Them niggas broke over there."
Oh, he got broke people
Man.
around, y'all.
Yeah. I don't like this. It's making me itch, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Feel like broken here.
Oh man, yeah, this is crazy. Looking at some of the comments, just informed you said Winklevoss twins are tall and former athletes. I'm sure they got some hands. LOL. Well, if they did, they didn't use them for Mark. So I don't know.
I was about to say, why they stuck that
Right.
little nigga in a closet somewhere? He should have never made it out of Harvard alive.
Hilarious.
I mean,
Goodness said where they expect the 1% yield to come from. So this is my thing too. It's hard enough to do it with smaller numbers, but when you're talking about $1 billion and you're talking about that 1% yield, exactly, where are they getting that from? Do y'all understand that's an entire market cap in and of itself when you're talking about cryptocurrency right now? So yeah, when you're talking about the yields they're claiming to get for you, some of these bigger platforms with the money and everything, I kind of already know how they do it. By and large, long story short, they're using capital and assets from other parts of their business to double down, cover down, just in case during bear market times, and then during bull market, they're keeping more than they're giving back to you. So basically, is they make a lot of money, they take it off the top. If they don't make you any money, they still give you some of their money, but it's their own personal money. Essentially, it's the business money. So that's really how this stuff works. That way, it's never like a lose-lose scenario. But yeah, when you're talking about 1% of $2.3 billion, people, you're literally talking about a cryptocurrency. Like, think about some of your favorite crypto tokens. That's the market cap. That 1 to 2% of the 2.3 billion, that's that token's market cap. So you are literally talking about getting yielded a brand new fucking token every week, basically. That's a winning token, right? That's a positive ROI token. It ain't happening in this space. Especially when you talk about the losses could be 15 to 20%. So now you're telling me, all right, out of $2.3 billion, people who coming from a traditional background, they do not have the stomach to sit through a 15 to 20% loss of $2.3 billion just to get their 30 to 40% weeks to months later. They don't know how to do that yet. It's just, that's very difficult to do. Were you about to say Bitcoin? Say my bad.
I would say they really don't know how to sit through an 80, 90, or 100% loss because this doesn't happen. In the traditional market, there's so much liquidity that there's controls in place to keep it, legal on that side. They don't have the stomach to do it, but everybody wants to be early because, again, if you can get in early on a good project, their best bet probably would have been, why did they just create a bunch of scam tokens on Binance Coin and then just pump and dump them? They probably could have made more money doing that. You could do quick 10x's every other day if you wanted to. If you got $2 billion to do it, I mean, I know that's not their business per se, but it's just looking at their investment strategies. It's hilarious. I'm like, dude, y'all could have dollar cost average. You could have made better bets in the bull market and pulled out earlier in the bull market, but nah, that's not how these companies work, man. They play with your money, they lose it, they rehypothecate it, and then they tell you, well, just sit and wait for months or maybe sometimes years to get your money back. And there ain't really nothing you can do unless you're gonna go show up at the crib, but that's about it.
And I mean, here, this is really a bigger problem, and that's education. It's the problem we always talk about: is people with money, with volume, with customers already, with huge followings that are grifting, that are grifting, that are grifting over the cryptocurrency. Here's a problem. Here's the biggest problem, and I won't even talk about us. Like we've done with 1,049 shows today. I won't talk about us. Again, there are other people in this space. Crypto Blood has been around. I mean, it's off the top of my head. I don't want to miss people. But there's a ton of people in this space. Chris Dunn, you want to talk about some OGs? Altcoin Daily, even though they do more news, even though they're starting to do analysis on their channel. But my point is, there's enough people in this space that have shown, not just I'm new and I'm popular and I got money and I have a large following. No. There's people who put the work in that have shown, that has hundreds of videos on their channel from years now stacked up. They have courses from years ago. They have Discords and Telegrams from years ago. These are the people we're supposed to be consulting. Like, these are the people Wells Fargo is supposed to, let me go talk to Altcoin Daily and get their thoughts on this. Let me go talk to, like, as crazy as it sounds, these are the people you're supposed to be consulting. And the reason why I bring this up is because if you don't, this is what usually happens. You have this story we're about to cover: Mark Cuban to face questioning under oath over promotion of Voyager. Now, one thing I've said many times over again is I'm not blaming the influencer. Everybody's adults. If we're going to start blaming influencers, then I also want to start seeing adult U.S. citizens' votes go toward that influencer. Stop voting and say the influencer gets to have my vote. We're not equal anymore. So I don't want to see influencers take the L. However, with that being said, this is why the regulators are coming, because we couldn't self-regulate. This same Mark Cuban, who's about to face questioning under oath over promotion of Voyager in 2022, 2021, he's promoting Voyager. But my thing is, if you literally just take 5 minutes to do your homework instead of giving this guy your money, you would have saw on September 30th of 2019, so 2 to 3 years prior, before he started pumping Voyager, this is the same guy that says, quote, "I'd rather have bananas than Bitcoin," says billionaire technology investor Mark Cuban about gold and Bitcoin. "I'd rather have bananas." So this is a guy who said, "I would rather have bananas over than Bitcoin." Let me say, I'd rather have bananas. This is the quote. "I'd rather have bananas over than Bitcoin." Here's the thing about crypto, particularly Bitcoin. Bitcoin is what somebody will pay for it, as he's being quoted here. Then he argues it has no intrinsic value. Did you ever see someone who collected baseball cards and they were really, really proud of their baseball cards because they kept saying they were going to go up in price, which baseball cards actually do? So I'm not sure his point there. Comic books, same thing. Even artwork, there's no real intrinsic value. You can't eat a baseball card. It's kind of like a Dallas Mavericks. There's no real intrinsic value. It's a fucking diversion for the United States, so we won't actually get good work done and be model citizens to our government and critique them. Instead, we watch basketball games. There's no real intrinsic value. But as I continue, you can't eat a baseball card, just like you can't eat a Dallas Maverick. Your artwork might look good on the wall, but not much you can do with it. Just like if you watch a Mavericks game, it might look good, but there's not much you can do with it. Bitcoin, there's even less you can do with it. At least I can look at my baseball card. I can look at artwork. And then, of course, later on, throughout all these quotes, he mentioned how he'd rather have bananas over Bitcoin. But anyway, I say all this to say about Mark Cuban, because this was in September 2019. And then literally a year, 2 years later, people are going hand over foot millions of dollars as he invests in, was it Titan Finance, Titan?
Yeah, rug pulled on Titan.
Rug pulled on that. And now you're about to get taken to court. Rug pulled on NFTs, and now you're getting taken to court or you're facing questioning under oath over the promotion of Voyager. I wonder how all this could happen to the people who invested in Voyager and Mark Cuban himself. Could it be because he's a grifter and he's grifting just like other grifters? This is the most shame part about it. And I love Mark Cuban when it comes to Shark Tank. Now, let me be clear about that. This is what I'm scared about now. My favorite freaking TV show might get canceled because 2 of the 5 sharks are like
fucking idiots.
I almost said fucking idiots. I didn't want to say it because they're not fucking idiots, but they are
They're
fucking
not.
idiots when it comes to crypto and Bitcoin.
And crypto,
Yes. They think they're so smart. They're too smart to admit they're idiots. And this and what we're seeing, people, this is a microcosm of the grand scale of cryptocurrency. You literally have people who have no clue. Not only do they not have no clue what they're talking about, but they also went against Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Mark Cuban and Kevin O'Leary, as much as I love their business acumen and things that they've done on Shark Tank, both those people wholeheartedly went against Bitcoin this entire movement. Bitcoin's rather have bananas. Kevin O'Leary is not worth nothing, blah, 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 blah. They go against this movement until it's time for them to make money. And then all of a sudden they're in the movement, right? Except they're batting for the wrong team. And that's where, again, this is a microcosm of what we're seeing in the entire space. So honestly, I mean, we could talk about this article, but to me, the headline was the more important part. You have the same people who said that crypto wasn't shit now pumping projects and people are following them. And now they're losing everybody money. If anything, that's the only reason to me why they should actually face questioning. It's not for them promoting projects, it's them for essentially not promoting it by saying that all this stuff is fraudulent and fake and it won't work. And then they're promoting projects. To me, that's the fraudulent thing in this. It's not that they're promoting the wrong project, because it's very difficult to do due diligence. It's to me them saying that, no, this is all a farce and it's a scam. And then as soon as the company pays them or they find the proper partner for them to make their percent back, all of a sudden now the market's good. That's the fraudulent thing I think they should face question over, not the promotion. But what are your thoughts on what else is going on with the story here?
Oh, yeah. So the first thoughts I got looking at the story. First things first, Mark Cuban, me and you, King, we could have sent him this invoice and told him exactly what he needed to do to stay away from Voyager. And you know what it would have been? It would have been a 30-second video of me saying, I just saw a promotion of Voyager with Tracy fucking McGrady on it. Do not invest in his goddamn product. You're going to lose all your money. That would have been it. And it would have saved him millions of dollars and time. That's it. That's all it took. Like, people think for research, of course you do need to do research. Me and you, King, we do it all the time, so it's whatever. But when you do it enough, there's certain red flags that you can spot where you only need 5 minutes. And you can be like, I'm not touching that. Or at least I'm going to wait until the second, third, fourth generation of that to mess with it. The second thing I want to say about this is I have a friend, Phil Shaw. He runs a farm in Florida. I'm trying to start a farm. You know what? But I taught him about crypto. You know what I do when he's telling me about farming? I shut the fuck up and I let him teach me about farming. I am a fucking idiot when it comes to farming. The last time I did any real farming in the garden was when I was like 8 with my grandmother, way back in the day. She used to make us work in the garden. So I have a 20-year gap on knowledge. He teaches me about seeds, about the gates and all the rules and regulations. I'm dead silent the whole time he speaks. This is what Mark Cuban and Mr. Wonderful and all these people fail to realize. Just because you're smart in one area does not make you smart in all areas, which is becoming an epidemic today as more and more people
it's an epidemic.
Masters, doctorates. They feel like now I can speak about every topic. And I'm like, no, you can't. Shut the fuck up. Because I believe that the only thing that makes you smart is the ability to admit when you're wrong. Because no matter how much information you have to be able to defend yourself, yes. But when you can admit that you're wrong and then say, hey, explain it to me, you know what you just did? You got smarter because you let them teach you. And that's exactly what this space needs is when we talk about self-regulation. They need to find the people who actually have done the work. They're not doing that. They're finding people at the very, very cream of the top who may have done something a long time ago. But usually they're using their financial advisors, their trusted financial guys. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. You know how I know? Because they talk to me. Every time I go to Miami, every time I go on book tour, I meet these people in Houston, DC. They talk to me and they ask me and they ask others who are in the space, hey, so what exactly is this? What's this product we should do? You want to come have a talk with our companies? I had to turn down a bunch of talks. So I was like, no, you're trying to steal ideas for free. I know the game. You're not about to get my ass and then turn around and a year later, it's a new product pops up that I know I invented. So I don't want to hear that shit. They have the opportunity. They don't speak with anybody.
They're not. I mean, Reggie Middleton said it. He's like, it's actually incredible that the companies, as mature as these companies already are, they're not doing any due diligence in this space. I mean, again, you can think what you want about his patent, but he's right. He's like, they're not even doing patent research to see if the shit they're using has patents on it. And it's like, he has a point. For these companies to be multi-billion-dollar companies, they have the analysts. They're not a gem in the crypto. They ain't just 2 or 3 dudes and people. No, they have teams of people. They have payrolls for this. And for them to not even put the resources toward it. Oh man, it says a lot to me. It definitely says a lot. Looking at this story real quick, just to cover the meat of it, for those who are wondering what's going on with Mark Cuban, it looks like again he's set to be disposed next month as of a defense against proposed class action lawsuit alleging that he promoted a Ponzi scheme in the form of now bankrupted crypto lender Voyager Digital. What's even more goofier about all these people, bro? How do you have a championship winning NBA team? You already sold your like. These people have so many wins. You're on Shark Tank. You're getting a check from that. You're getting checks from everywhere. Why would you even enter this market? You know what I mean? Like
they are addicted. They are addicted to grifting. Let me repeat that. These people are addicted to grifting. You know why? Because Mark Cuban was in the internet space. Then he's on the NBA team. Then he's on Shark Tank. And then he grifts into crypto. These people are literally, shout out to my man Hotel Jesus. He needs to win an award for the grifties. They have an award show every year called the Grifties, where they call out all the grifters in the space. Mark Cuban needs to be at the top of the list because they're addicted to it. They can't help but move to the new space because what happens is you feel I'm very smart in this space. I've done a lot. I got $1 billion. So anytime a new space pops up and new people are popping up as the thought leaders and the smart people, you're like, hey, you forgot about me. I was smart 10 years ago.
Well,
and then they just come over to a new space and they're like, well, I also know about blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's sort of like that meme. It was like, hey, how you doing, kids? I'm I'm one of the cool guys. It's like, get your old ass out of here. You don't know what you're doing.
Well, also, I was talking about this the other day. I think it's just how influencers, the whole content creation thing is becoming like they're the subject matter expert for their audience. But again, as I mentioned, I'm the same thing. I don't know nothing about basketball. I don't talk about basketball, right? But I don't know. It's just interesting to me, the confidence I would say that people have to just pick something up and go. But again, when we're talking about crypto people, we're talking about financial and the technology market all at once. Really quick, going back to the story last but not least, it looks like Mark Cuban actually tried to get this deposition broken up into 2 sessions, and that the judge said, no, you're going to do it all in 1 session. They were like, you ain't going to have a chance to go back and talk to your PR. People figure this out. So it's going to happen in 1 section, February 2nd in Dallas, Texas. Again, makes no sense that you have so many assets and so much money that you would even jump into cryptocurrency after you yourself say it's nothing to be happy about. And I mean, at this point, this guy is 0-3 in crypto. And yeah, it looks like as part of, yeah, man, it's crazy. It looks like 2 Dallas Mavericks employees will also be disposed before February 23rd. Again, now you are mixing your regular business into this. The last thing you want, Mark Cuban, is for people to say you do owe money and they don't want it back in money, if you understand what I'm saying. If you owe people anything and they say, no, we want that back in Maverick shit. I want mine back in Mavericks. Like, hey, season pass,
courtside tickets. Yeah,
I want it back in. And there's no reason to stop it. That's an asset. You own it. You mixed it. You got people. This is why you don't mix it. You don't mix it.
How many people could we have saved, man? I mean, literally, we're talking about Steph Curry, Shaq, Kim Kardashian, Floyd Mayweather, DJ Khaled, T.I., Mark Cuban now. How many people, Tracy McGrady, how many people could we have stopped from doing this because we already knew what was going to happen? And years later, they'll have to be sitting in court or pay millions of fines. I mean,
that is true. Every time we hear one of them do a new, we're like, here we go. All right. What?
Floyd Mayweather.
Because here's the deal, people, is definitely not hate. Is literally just like, how does XYZ, whoever this person is, who's already a celebrity or known for this, like, how and when? Because we know how much time we spent. So it's just like, how and when did you spend that much time, bro? Because I was literally up, like, I'd be up for like a week and a half straight, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, 2 in the morning, still reading about some BS technical stuff, texting Zay at 4 a.m. trying to figure out one last piece of information, here in the Telegram group trying to figure, like, we've actually been spending that time. So that's our only thing when we hear these names. There's no hate. There's nothing wrong. It's not saying that they cannot also be subject matter experts. It's just one of those things is like, when did you do some homework, bro? And then, that's what I was gonna say. The one thing I keep forgetting to say, I was gonna say, I'm turning to an old man when it comes to this. I'm starting to tell stories often. You all might have noticed on the show too, when I'm by myself, tell a lot of stories. The reason why I'm telling more stories is because I'm leaning on experience now, especially when it comes to Bitcoin and crypto and shit. I want to hear experience at this point. I don't want to hear, I have this following of 100,000 plus people and I have
don't care.
$50 million, unless you're about to directly give me that capital or give us access to that email list and stuff. It doesn't matter. What I want to know is that I want to hear the story. Oh, I remember in 2018 when we were trying to work on this project. Oh, I remember this year when we were doing this. For example, I literally remember at the beginning of 2017 when Bitcoin they pulled up with the Bitcoin ATM at the apartment. It was shipped there from China. I'm like, bro, you got ATM? Yeah, I'm about to program it. I watched the man program the Bitcoin ATM. I watched this Bo throw money in it. Okay, so this Bitcoin ATM works and is ready to ship out to a new location. It ships out to a new location. It does what it does there. We get into regulatory trouble, so we understand the regulatory market. Like, you understand, this is a real story from experiences. This isn't just, oh, I think Bitcoin's bananas today, but tomorrow, oh, Bitcoin's amazing. And I'm Kevin O'Leary, Mark Cuban, Logan Paul, DJ Khaled, Jamie Foxx. I'm not any of these people. I actually did my homework and I have a story to tell you about the homework I did. Like, literally, that's the difference. Next time someone comes up with a beautiful project, tell them to give you a story. Tell me a story about something you've done in crypto. Doesn't matter a story. Tell me any story. And once they don't have that story for you, you should know what to do with your money. My bad, Bitcoin Zay.
No, you good. No, I was just saying we can't even name all the celebrities, but I mean it's a bunch of The Game, Gary Vee. I mean we can just keep going on and on. Somebody commented and said, "Why don't they reach out to us?" Some have. I mean,
some actually have. Yeah, to be fair,
that's what I'm saying. I have talked to a few. Shout out to my man Icewear Vezo, probably the most humble person I ever talked to about Bitcoin, who knew about it before most people. He knew
a couple
about
record companies. Shout out to a couple big record companies. So some of the bigger companies that have consulted with us, we have to sign NDA. So we can't talk about them, give them real shout outs. But yeah, some of the bigger companies have. So here's where, all right, we'll say this real quick. Here's where it's about to get jacked up. It's going to be the same old saying. The bigger companies are actually reaching out to us and having us do consultations so that the people that are under them essentially have to do everything through them when it comes to crypto. So yeah, that would be interesting to see how that's going to work out too. All right, last few stories. Binance employees to adhere to a 90-day period prior to trading. The story is in the headline itself. The cryptocurrency exchange confirmed its 3-month policy to prohibit insider trading by employees and their relevant family members. I mean, yeah, to me, this is a great form of self-regulation. I think it will catch on, but also it's kind of one of those things where it's like, this is crypto. There is no way for you to be able to, like,
enforce this.
Come on, there's no way to enforce. It's family members, bro. What? So you tell me if it's a new project coming to the platform, and I call up my cousin, I tell them to do the whole rat hole trick they did on Wolf of Wall Street. You all are going to sell it. The only way you catch me is if you get us all in court and they literally are on the stand like, no, he told me on this date to buy this amount of crypto because his company was doing. That's the only way you catch people on this one. I don't see how it happens. I don't see how this is enforced, but I do think is a great self-regulatory guideline in the right direction. And I think if they start to do more announcements and headlines like this, they may have governments begin to semi-ease up. Now, they're not going to ease all the way up, but they'll ease up a little bit and say, all right, well, like, let's give them time to work if they're actually working. But again, this won't be enforced. Any other thoughts on this one, Bitcoin Zay?
Nah, I don't believe in anything coming from exchange banks. I don't believe anything they talk about. And this can't be enforced. One Thanksgiving dinner, I could have 10 people running rat holes for me through Binance if I wanted to. I mean, so this is just a it's basically a good marketing scheme to make it seem as though they're trying to be safe. They have to have these points to deal with regulators. Sounds good, but again, definitely not happening.
Yeah, and not only that, people, like, as far as enforcement, Binance employees at any ranking are now allowed to participate in personal short-term trading and must hold positions for 90 days. Yeah, okay. Let's say on average, a Binance employee has like 5 to 10K in their savings account or whatever. And you mean that this coin, this token that's worth less than a penny, that has a community of 200,000+ people that's about to get listed on my exchange, I'm not going to make this life-changing money and quit? All right. Because what we forgot, once you make that life-changing money, it's not like they can get it back. This is crypto. We're going to subpoena you and give me, subpoena me all you want, and good luck on finding them keys. I forgot them the day I signed up. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah. It's over. It's done with. So this isn't happening. But shout out to Binance for at least trying to get this self-regulation going. Yeah, few months too late. Though, Binance, but we love it. Reno Gamble said, I am at Comic-Con dressed up like King from the show. In the white shirt and heavy on the shea butter. Bro, y'all about to have me crying right now. 5151 Gamer Johnson said, you wouldn't listen to a war story from a person who never been to war. Experience is the best teacher. Listen, There's so many. I was thinking about this the other day, but it's kind of funny now because 2 or 3 of the main people have already come out and began to tell their stories. So it's like, ain't much to say no more. But people, you have no clue how many of your favorite everything's popular people that I might not know them personally, but I know everybody who knows them. I know their business. But it's just funny because you put that war story there, and there was a popular person. That's all I'm gonna say. There was a very popular person who was on Joe Rogan, and recently that clip blew up where he's talking about basically has he went to war or not, because there's been a whole big thing around this guy. And I personally know some of the stories around that because I was in these communities. So it's
What's his
kind of
name?
funny to see him. I don't know. Trust me, it's only but a couple people who like military people who go on his show as a recent. So as soon
I
as
think
you
I can
see
figure
it,
it out.
everybody
Yeah.
gonna be like, no, but they're gonna kind of already know. But anyway, he's told his story about his 2 deployments and the 2 places he deployed, so he ain't trying to hear shit from nobody. But yeah, that's my point. Basically, people, this same guy, he's one of the most popular people in the United States. He's under fire right now. He's actually been under fire behind the scenes for years, for people who know, and that's because he's talking about his military career a lot, but he never talks about the war or war stories, and that's why people are upset about it, because they're just like, bro, how you keep talking about the military, but you don't never talk about deployments or war stories? And like, again, for me, I didn't get it either because I was about to get out of the military before my first deployment. And my boss looked at me and was like, "You sure you want to be stationed in San Diego for years and never deploy and get out?" And I'm glad he was right, because that would have been a terrible look, bro.
Yeah,
you
he might as
got
well
you
not even
got
gone.
yeah, you might as well not go. You gotta get them deployments under your belt. You gotta be part of gangs. So but yeah, you wouldn't listen to a war story from a person who wouldn't have been in war. All right, last couple of quick stories. The story is in the headline itself. Unfortunate, but Coinbase had to cut another 20% of his workforce in the second wave of lost Bitcoin's A. Really quick, what's going on with Coinbase and why are they still laying off people?
Everybody's fired. You're fired. You're fired. You get it fired. It seems like how many? I think 5 companies since last week have cut at least 20% of people. So nothing really new here. They reduced it by 950 employees, so that's 950 new people out into the market looking for jobs. I'm pretty sure they were probably the lower levels of people, so they'll be all right. They'll bounce back, but not a huge deal because we're seeing it in every bear market. So that's just how it works. If you're going to work for a crypto company, make yourself valuable because the first round of cuts, your ass is grass.
Yeah, and honestly, it's one of those things where really quick when it comes to the cuts and stuff, is not as much. A lot of jobs, I won't say shouldn't be there. A lot of the jobs are early at many of the companies, and the reason why is because every company is still trying to build this actual market. For example, basically everything ancillary that doesn't add to the bottom line, right? So honestly, PR. I hate to say it, that's my niche, right? But PR is one. So if Coinbase were to cut the PR department, it would make sense to me. They, if they had to go to, I mean, if you remember, they had the director from Facebook as their PR head. Like that's expensive. So it wouldn't make sense for Coinbase to do it, of course, because they do have such a large company and they do have to get messaging and things out. But they were in dire straits. So yeah, something like PR will be something you cut. So I think a lot of departments and things that are getting cut were really just additions to enhance the market cap, right? It's like, well, we got a PR team, we got this team, we got this going on, we got that going on. We're trying to do newsletters over here. We're trying to do podcasts if we can, for example, all this different stuff. Those are usually the first few people to go because it's like, it doesn't, affect the bottom line. This is just stuff we wanted to use to grow our name and messaging. So it sucks, but like you said, they'll find other spots elsewhere. And I think things like this, as much as they suck right now, it will only help your resume as you
Yeah,
mature in the crypto space. You're like, oh yeah, I worked for Coinbase for a while. But what happened? Layoffs. And it's like everybody will understand. It's like, oh yeah, okay. Like every 2-3
yeah,
years in the market, it's a mass layoff. So we get
yeah.
it. All right. Last but certainly not least, Bitcoin community not happy with Peter Zeihan's criticisms on Joe Rogan podcast. We talked about it earlier. It continues to happen. Joe Rogan keeps getting people who don't know about Bitcoin and crypto on this podcast. So what's up with this Peter Zeihan guy, and how did he piss off the whole community?
Oh yeah. So not to get too technical, but whenever you see somebody say that Bitcoin has no intrinsic value, you can go basically one of two ways. I like to go the bombastic asshole smart way and say, hey, technically nothing has intrinsic value, not even humans, because if we go away, the Earth continues. The Earth doesn't really have value because if the Earth goes away, the universe keeps going. The sun doesn't have value because of the galaxy, it keeps going. So
Y'all want to play
technically,
that
y'all
game?
want to
Y'all
play
want
the
to play
game?
the
Y'all want to play
game?
the intrinsic value game? Nothing has intrinsic value, technically. But if we are talking about investments and commodities as far as intrinsic value, separating money from the state, which is the first time this will happen in human history, is pretty big fucking intrinsic value. The problem
That is the first time this is happening in
it's
human
the first time
history,
it's
bro.
happening in human history. I mean, people don't
Wow.
understand that when something this big comes along, of course you're going to get pushback, but it's the people who are regarded as smart, like Peter Zeihan. He has some good points on other things. But as soon as they jump over to the Bitcoin and crypto world, they don't know what they're talking about. And again, I remind anybody, go back and look at interviews from 91 to 97 talking about the internet. We're talking about the quote unquote smartest people in the world.
That's true.
Who kept
That's
telling us
true. They was talking about the internet like it was
need
bullshit.
email. They didn't need internet. Why do I need to be connected to somebody in China? I don't know anybody in China. I mean, some of the dumbest statements you ever heard. Even going back to the airplane. When the airplane came out, people were like, why would I need to fly anywhere in the world? I got everything.
I'm from Detroit, baby. Hey, yeah. we made cars in Detroit. There was people with Henry Ford. I'll never forget. Henry Ford. You learn this. Every kid in second grade started going to the Henry Ford Museum, and the quote is right there. If I would have asked people what they wanted, they would have told me a faster horse.
Exactly. And that's what people
we would have fast ass horses right now, bro.
Right. Yeah, yeah, bitch. Put that nigga on that nap. But in a recent KRE episode, zeihan, an American geopolitical analyst and author, like I said, otherwise smart guy, claimed that crypto was always a hot dumpster fire and that Bitcoin has no intrinsic value. The analyst claimed that the number one digital asset by market capitalization is now being priced more appropriately. He actually said that Bitcoin, which was priced $17,000 at the time of the writing, he actually stated that the price of Bitcoin, the appropriate price, is within the negatives. I mean, this is as bad as Charlie Munger saying it's rat poison or Warren Buffett, whatever they've said. I mean, I think
hot dumpster fire.
I mean, hot dumpster fire. Just add that to the list of descriptions of Bitcoin from people who don't know what in the world they're talking about. And he says here, for all my math majors, please don't have a conniption. This might get you triggered. But he said the craziest thing about Bitcoin is that there will never be more than X number of units of Bitcoin. By default, it means it can't be used for trade. If anybody has ever taken Econ 101 course and knows about scarcity, whether it's provable scarcity or real scarcity like Bitcoin, that is not what an X number of units means, especially when you can break down Bitcoin to 2.1 quadrillion.
I was just about to say that. You can go down to the 100th million. People forget that. Yep.
Peter Zeihan, you don't know what you're talking about. And on top of that, when all of the units are released into the market, the year 2140, none of us are going to fucking be here. So what are you even talking about, Peter? At that time, anybody who's mining will make all of their money off fees. The money that's circulated around the world will be used for products and services, yes, but because Bitcoin will be so valuable, people will only use it for the best products and services. Of course, that will raise the value or raise the demand, and then the prices of great products will actually decrease over time because of the value of Bitcoin. And this is the thing that I don't get about these quote-unquote experts. If you don't know what you're talking about, don't talk about it. Like, don't come on Joe Rogan with 1 million people watching and then say something so stupid. And he says the whole idea of economic activity is that there's expansion, which means you need more currency to lubricate and manage that expansion. This man went to the Keynesian School of Economics at your favorite leftist or liberal college, I can guarantee you, and he got fed the Kool-Aid that in order for our economy to work, we have to continue to pump money into the economy. And he says that if the currency supply is locked, there will be a monetary inflation. And I watched it. He actually said all that means is that Bitcoin's price will continue to appreciate. Duh! That is, yes, that is exactly what happens when it's reverse correlated to a fiat currency. If fiat currency has no bottom, then Bitcoin has no top. All we're seeing is waves and financial and psychological waves of people financially trying to get fiat. That's going to end at some point. And we're going to take off where it's never really coming back. But Zeihan and all these people, they are smart in the fields that they speak about, but when it comes to Bitcoin and crypto, they are idiots. We have warriors here who are smarter than these people, and I would challenge them. If we get this trivia game going, I would challenge them against any of these people that we've discussed today on the show.
There it is. There it is. This is crazy, man. Another one on a public platform. I mean, that's all we're seeing. Oh, and this is where I was like, is this intentional that they're literally all these places are getting people who don't know what they're talking about to speak the gospel? Because it's very rare that you have anyone there, like you just said, to correct the most minute things. It's like Well, actually, Bitcoin's divisible up to 100 million. Like, you can charge less than a penny right now. I just want to hear the person be like, "Oh, well, here's my next goalpost. I'm moving the topic to." Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? There's literally rarely
I can't touch it. I can't touch it.
yeah, it's rarely if ever anyone on there that know what they're talking about, and that's not even there. I've done panels where they've been like supposedly supposed to be crypto panels. I've told you about some of the people on the panel. Like,
Yeah.
oh, so and so know you, and you're like, yeah, I know so and so. He's cool. I'm like, yeah, I had to eat him up because he ain't know what he was talking about. It's just like we're not even trying to do it. It's like we're not like I always tell people when I'm doing panels and talks with other people in the crypto space. It's like it's not even trying to be intentional, but it's just like I can't not correct you in a room full of people when you're giving them wrong information because it looks like I'm co-signing it. And on the flip side, let's put it in perspective. I was on a panel with Andreas Antonopoulos, Chris Duns, Max Kaisers and stuff. You better believe I would not talk that much. I wouldn't talk that much, people.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be there to learn. I'll stay in my place. I already know Andreas Antonopoulos is there. Bitcoin Zay there. All right. They might get super technical. I know some bare bones technical stuff. I know some coding and stuff, but they might go next level technical and start talking about equations and shit I don't know nothing about. I'm not going to put myself in that trick bag to go down that lane right there. I'm going to keep it broad. I'm going to talk about regulatory issues. I'm going to talk about fundamental things and things I have experience with. I'm not going to go into, well, what do we use ZK Stark roll-ups to do this? And what do we do that for this tech? I'm not going to do that. It wouldn't make sense. I wouldn't be well-versed in it. That's all we're saying. That's all this whole show today is about, staying in your lane. And again, it's unfortunate that on, podcasts like Joe Rogan, where he does have the volume that he has, he can't get someone in there who actually knows what they're talking about. But it's good to see that the community still responds. These things become stories. Next day, we saw that on Cointelegraph today. That's why we covered it. So at least people are paying attention in our own community. Other than that, Bitcoin Zay, what do you have for the day?
Nothing for me. I will say, there is a campaign to try and get Michael Saylor on Joe Rogan. It's like Michael Saylor, Corey from Swan, a couple other people, but Andreas Antonopoulos has been on there like 4 times. So, but that was pre 2017, so it would be great to bring him back. But yeah, we definitely got to get the word out on these bigger platforms for people that know what they're talking about. But no news for me. Happy January 10th.
There it is. Happy January 10th. Make sure you smash that like and share. And we will see you all tomorrow with some more crypto news. Cheers. Hey, it looks like in the chat somebody figured it out. I ain't going to say it though.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Cheers.